The mask felt like a slab of ice against my face, heavy as a tombstone. I tugged it on stone, scraping my skin, and started up the basement stairs of our old Iowa farmhouse. Each step creaked like a warning, but I couldn't stop grinning. I was gonna scare the hell out of my wife, Debbie. Found the thing in a battered crate among Dad's stuff, him the big-shot anthropology professor who left us this creaky house and a pile of cash last year. The eye holes, one slightly lower than the other, made the world tilt. A thin slit for a mouth lined with jagged carved teeth trapped my breath, hot and sour. Perfect for a prank. At the top, I nudged the basement door open. Empty living room, but I heard water and a low murmur from the kitchen, Debbie at the sink, probably glued to her true crime podcasts. I kicked off my sneakers, the hardwood cold under my socks, and crept forward, heart pounding. The mask suffocated sweat trickling down my neck, but I wore it anyway. The thrill was too sharp. The kitchen doorway loomed, shadows pooling. I leaned in there. She was back-turned, scrubbing a skillet. Her phone blared something about a missing hiker. I took a shallow breath and moved. 3 silent steps and I was behind her. I clamped her shoulder. She spun, eyes huge, and screamed. Before I could laugh, her knee slammed into my crotch. Pain roared up my spine. I crashed into the island, the mask slipping, half blinding me. I hit the floor, gasping, just as she spun, snatching a butcher knife from the sink blade, glinting as she raised it. "Stop," I wheezed, ripping the mask off. "Deb, it's me, Bill." She froze, knife still up her face, twisting from terror to rage. "What the actual fuck, Bill? Where'd you get that goddamn thing?" I groaned, clutching myself, one hand waving surrender. "Basement, Dad's old junk. Thought I'd mess with you. Just a dumb scare. A scare." She lowered the knife, eyes blazing. "I almost gutted you, you idiot. That mask is straight out of a slasher flick." She chucked the knife into the sink with a clang and crouched, grabbing the mask. She turned it over, fingers brushing the uneven eye holes and sharp teeth. "Jesus, it's heavy. Stone, maybe. Looks like it's been buried for centuries. Your dad picked this up on one of his fancy trips. Dad had spent his life chasing artifacts, dragging home relics from jungles and deserts." I nodded, still wincing. "Yeah, probably. Found it with a creepy bone knife in a locked box. Was gonna grab the knife too, but good call, I didn't. We should get it checked out," she said, her voice softer but tight. "Might be worth a fortune." "Nah, I want to keep it," I said, taking the mask. "Reminds me of Dad. We don't need the cash, not with his inheritance. Plus, it's kind of badass, right? Like something you'd show off at a party." She shivered, stepping back. "It's fucking creepy, Bill. If you're keeping that thing, it stays in your study. I don't want to see it staring at me every damn day." Things went back to normal, or so I thought. I taught anthropology at the local college in Cedar Falls, same place Dad had ruled for 30 years. The mask hung on my study wall, the bone knife pinned below it, catching lamplight in a way that made my skin crawl. Debbie steered clear of the room, but I couldn't stop staring. Those crooked eye holes seemed to follow me like they were waiting. I dug through Dad's journals in the basement, hoping for answers, but they just rambled about digs in far-off places, nothing on the mask. Still, it felt like him, a piece of the man I'd looked up to. A month later, I threw a retirement bash for Roger Wentworth, Dad's old buddy. The house filled with professors' whiskey glasses, clinking under the hum of cicadas. Derek Nielsen, a buddy of mine, slipped in late. Derek wasn't like the rest of us trust fund academics, grew up dirt poor, lost his dad young, clawed his way to a PhD. We'd bonded over cheap beers, swapping stories about Cedar Falls, though he never talked about his past. I snagged 2 Bud Lights and met him at the door. "Yo, Derek, come check this out. You're gonna love it." He popped the cap with his lighter, smirking. "All right, man, what's the big deal?" I led him to the study and pointed at the mask. "Found this in Dad's stuff. Pretty wild, huh?" His beer hit the floor, glass shattering. His face went gray, eyes locked on the mask like it was a ghost. "This some kind of sick joke," he hissed. "Dude, what?" I stepped back, his fear hitting me like a cold wind. "It's just a mask." "What's wrong? I gotta sit," he mumbled, collapsing into the desk chair. "Tell me you didn't know. Tell me this ain't you screwing with me." Know what? My voice cracked. "Derek, you're scaring the shit out of me. I need a drink. Not beer. Something that burns." I bolted to the liquor cabinet, pulse racing. Debbie was laughing with some prof's wife. "Where'd you run off to?" she asked. "Showed Derek the mask," I said, pouring a double bourbon. "He's freaking out." "Told you that thing's bad news," she muttered. "Ditch it, Bill." I barely nodded, hurrying back. Derek was still staring at the mask, eyes glassy. I shoved the bourbon into his hand. He slammed it back, coughing. Then he started talking, voice low, like the walls were listening. 35 years ago, my dad died. Coroner called it suicide case, closed, no autopsy, but my mom, she saw something else. I leaned closer, dread pooling in my gut. What did she see? She came home and found him in the tub, blood everywhere. A man was there wearing a mask like that, one round face, crooked eyes, double teeth, holding a bone knife, just watching. She passed out, and when she woke, he was gone. She's been locked in a psych ward ever since, drawing that mask over and over. I glanced at the mask, my stomach lurching. "You're saying that's the mask?" "I ain't saying shit," he snapped, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling the cops." The police rolled in that night, their radios crackling as the party fizzled out. Derek showed them faded photocopies of his mom's drawings, and Hawkins, the masks were dead ringers for mine. They hauled the mask and knife to the station, and I let them poke around the basement. I stood there, Debbie gripping my hand, feeling like the house was holding its breath. Next morning, they came back with a warrant. They dug into the house records and found a renovation from when I was a kid, 95, the year they poured a new concrete slab over the old dirt basement floor. They brought in jackhammers, and the noise shook the house like a heartbeat. Debbie and I watched from the stairs, her nails digging into my arm as they tore up the floor. They found bodies, 11 laid out under the concrete, each with initials scratched above them. Men, women, bones brittle and yellowed. The cops kept me back, but they asked about Dad, his late nights, his trips. I remembered him slipping in at 2 a.m. saying he was prepping lectures. I remembered that locked crate in the basement, the one I'd never questioned. Forensics tied the knife to one victim, a woman with cuts matching its jagged edge. Derek's dad wasn't in the basement, but they reopened his case, sniffing for murder. My dad, the guy who'd grilled burgers on Sundays and cheered at my Little League games, was a killer. A monster who'd used that mask, that knife, to carve his way through lives. We packed up and left within days. The house hit the market, but it's still empty, a cursed husk nobody wants. Cedar Falls whispers about the murder house, and I can't walk campus without stairs. Derek ghosted me, and I get it. I didn't kill anyone, but I'm his son, and that's a stain I can't scrub off. Sleep's a stranger now. In our cramped Des Moines apartment, I lie awake seeing those crooked eye holes in the dark. The cops have the mask locked in evidence, but it's like it's still here watching. I started reading Dad's journals, desperate for answers. Most are dry notes on Mayan ruins, African caves, but one page dated '89 stopped me cold. Found it in a temple buried deep in Guatemala, stone mask and bone knife sealed in a vault with carvings of wailing faces. The guide called them cursed, said they wake something old and hungry. Took them anyway, their history, not superstition. Nothing else. No hint of what he did, no clue why he turned. But that mask wasn't just stone. It felt alive, like it had claws in my dad, and now it knows me. Debbie thinks I'm paranoid, but she didn't see what I saw. Last week I drove back to the house. Midnight, no moon, the kind of night that swallows light. I had to know. The front door was unlocked, which wasn't right. Inside, the air was thick, like the house was breathing. The basement door hung open, a black mouth. I gripped my flashlight, its beam shaking, and went down. The broken concrete gaped like open graves, the body pits empty. But something scratched in the shadows, slow and deliberate, like nails dragging on stone. My light swept the room, nothing but dust and rubble. Then I saw it behind a splintered shelf, a carving on the wall. A round face, uneven eyes, double teeth. Below, in Dad's tight scrawl, it sees me. I ran, boots pounding, and didn't stop till I was in my truck peeling out. I told Debbie I'd gone for a drive, but she saw my face pale as death. I can't tell her. She'd think I'm losing it like Derek's mom. I wish I'd never touched that mask. It's gone caged in some evidence locker, but it's in my head, those eyes boring through me. The house sits empty, a tomb for Dad's sins. I think about Derek, his mom's frantic sketches, the masked man she swore she saw. Was it Dad or something else? Something ancient, something that wore him like a skin and now wants me. I lock the doors every night, check the windows, but it's no use. The scratchings in my dreams now faint but closer, waiting for me to slip, to put the mask on and let it in.